Friends, welcome to our show. I'm Luke Clayton, and this is my friend Jeff Rice.
And my friend Luke Clayton.
We're on station here. Yep, we're good buddies. We hunt and fish together a lot, and of course we do these weekly videos and thoroughly enjoy bringing them to you each week.
It's just, I mean, being out in the outdoors, it doesn't get any better than this, you know. We've been doing this for a lot of years. I think collectively, I mean, I'm probably close to going on almost 50 years of hunting experience and fishing. And going on 50 years.
Going on, 60 years for me. So, yeah.
There's a lot of experience here, folks.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun in the outdoors. But we do bring you these shows every week. Usually we're out putting forth effort, you know, to hunt and video these hunts, which I found to be very challenging for me to do it because I'm an old outdoors writer. I'm very, very familiar with a Nikon camera. I've used it to help earn my living for years. Way different with video. Done a little video in the past amateurishly, but Jeff is, as you probably noticed watching these shows, he's really good. So today we're not out hunting. We've actually got to cut some more of our meat up, put in the freezer. We're just kind of cooling it right now, but I thought it would be interesting, maybe, I hope it'll be interesting, to talk to you about how we got started in the outdoors. A lot of kids now, Jeff, young people like we were once when we got started, they don't have the opportunity to be raised in an area where all they have to do is walk out the back door and hunt and fish, which both of us grew up like that. Now, your upbringing was up in Wisconsin a lot.
That's correct.
Catching walleye, and you know, anybody that knows anything about Wisconsin, bow hunting is king up there.
Sure is.
And so you, and I think, of course, your dad got you started. I know your dad, he's an avid outdoors person. I can imagine when he was that age, I bet he was outdoor dynamo. But my dad got me started with squirrel hunting, small game hunting. But actually, I honestly took it from there.
Yeah.
I kind of go into a little detail. I was raised up in Red River County, north part of the county, which even today, it's still rural, very rural up there. And I grew up on my dad raised broiler chickens, 14,000 of them all the time. He didn't really have a lot of time to be, you know, he worked hard taking care of all that home business. So we would go squirrel hunting together occasionally, but I had a brother-in-law, folks, that really was my hunting mentor. He could go in these woods right here, and I could go in there squirrel hunting, and I might kill 3, and he would come out with 10. But he knew nothing about deer. So it's kind of an interesting story. When I was 11 years old, and I wrote a book, and I mentioned this, that the first book I wrote, it's not even in print anymore, but he took me to a place called Crook's Camp, hunting camp. And this was about in 1961 when I was 11 years old. We drove up and they had 2 of those old green army tents. These old boys, looking back, they were World War II veterans probably, most of them. I know some of them were. That's the era, 1961. These guys got back, started their families, and they wanted to go hunt. You know, they weren't hunting with the stuff we've got. They had a British .303s and those kind of guns. We pulled up, Jeff, to this Crooks camp, and I'm told that the camp is still there by their children's children. They're still hunting that same camp in Red River County.
Right? Wow.
I want to go back sometime. It's about 5 miles from where I was raised. Well, we pulled up. My brother-in-law's Billy Wayne Joplin. Well, there was no fancy four-wheel drive trucks at that time. He had a '56 Crown Victoria with a police interceptor engine. That's what we were. That was our hunting wagon.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yes, we pulled up and there was 2 bucks hanging on a meat pole, and these were not bucks that nowadays people would haul. These were just, as I remember, probably just 6 and 8 points. You know, if they scored 118, that probably weren't that big, but they were deer.
Sure.
And I saw them hanging on that meat pole, and I was in awe. I went to that camp, and I was looking around and talking. Of course, I was just a kid. You know, these old boys had important stuff to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking. I told him my brother-in-law on the way back, I said, I've got to learn how to hunt these deer like this, you know, like these guys.
Right.
And that planted a seed, and I'm closer to 70, approaching 70 years old. That happened when I was 11. Been very blessed to have hunted as an outdoor rider a lot of places with a lot of fine people.
Have you been successful in your hunts? If not, maybe you need to change some of the products that you're using. Today, I want to talk just a little bit about Texas-raised hunting products. Luke and I use these exclusively, and we use them because why? They work. Number one, it's paramount that you cover your scent. Texas-raised hunting products makes Scent Guardian. We start with this product. We spray down, and it completely eliminates any odor that you might be carrying into the woods with you. We start with this product, and they have an array of products for all hunting situations, whether it's for buck scrapes. They have the little canisters here, buck DNA. We put these out, and the animals, I mean, they react to these. We've got some sow seduction that we use, brings in both boar and sow. They work extremely well. I encourage you folks to get out there and try some of these products. Use what works. We have been very successful using these products. Again, it's Texas Raised Hunting Products. You can find them at texasraisedhuntingproducts.com, or just as easy to reach out to catfishradio.org to learn more information about these products.
My hunting career, Jeff, all started right there when I was already hunting squirrels and stuff like that, but something happened. I said, this is going to be something I've got to learn about.
And that's stuff you just don't forget. It's from the very beginnings, the roots that you know, when you first start hunting, because it's the same for me. Now, I'm about 10 years younger than Luke, and as Luke alluded to, my father, outdoorsman, oh, he loved it. He was a bow hunter like there's no tomorrow. And you know, he would take me, and that was the thing about my father, and I highly encourage you folks, if you've got children, take them out. Take them, because they get that seed planted, and they run with it. My father, he always took the time to take me, even before I could even hold a weapon.
Yep.
He would still take me out. You know, now bow hunting was a little bit different, more the rifle hunting, because it was easier to get in a blind and easier to shoot out a ways. But he did take me bow hunting starting at about 10 years old. And at 12 years old, I was able to take my bow and hunt. I'll never forget my very first hunt with him. And I mean, I shot a doe. We unfortunately never found it. That was the sad reality of hunting for me. But you know, it was a lesson. It was a lesson for me in that, you know, it doesn't always come together. Things happen.
Yep.
And I'll never forget that, you know, but it reminds me every time I think about it, it's don't take the shot unless you know you can make the shot and make it count. I was 12 years old back then. You know, you get so excited, and heck, I was probably shaking like a leaf on a tree trying to make that shot, and it happened like it happened. But you know, all of the years my dad took me, we partridge hunted, you know, woodcock, we fished, deer hunt. My grandparents, both my grandparents were my grandpa and grandmother on my dad's side, avid hunters. They love to hunt. As a matter of fact, I have their bows hanging in my house.
Yep, I've seen
They're
them.
old recurve bows,
Yep.
Grandpa and Grandma's recurve bows, and loved hunting. My earliest, fondest memories of deer hunts were going out to Kamichik Road, and it was a big national forest in northern Wisconsin, and we would go up there. Grandpa and Grandma would pull their little trailer up there. Grandpa had a little International Scout, and we'd go back off in there and deer hunted, and I deer hunted for 12 years in a row, never shot a deer. But you know what? I had fun every time I went.
And learned something.
And learned.
You
Oh,
did.
yeah.
You never...
I got to tell you a quick funny story. It wasn't funny back then. I look back at it now, I laugh a little bit. But my first rifle hunt, when I was able to take a rifle, which was 12 years old, we went to the Nicolay National Forest, and we were hunting, and it was snowing, and Dad gave me a rifle and said, go back off that way, find yourself a place to sit down, just sit, wait, and watch, right? That's what I did. And I was there for hours, and the snow snowing so hard it covered up my tracks. And when it came time to leave, I didn't go the right way. And to make a really long story short, I spent the night in the woods.
I've heard this, yes.
And it was about, I don't know, it was, say about 24 degrees outside, roughly-ish. Cold enough. Thank God I had a heavy jacket on. I had a rifle, and I did the proverbial shoot 3 times in the air. Nothing. I had been walking to stay warm, and walked until, I don't even know what time it was. It was the middle of the night. I could see a river. And I walked up to the river, and snow, there was snow probably a foot deep by then. It was just snowing like crazy. I followed that river downstream, just walked along, and all of a sudden I looked as I came around a curve, and there was a light. I ran to that light, and there was some guys across the creek. Now, I don't know, they were fishing, I don't know what, they were on the river.
Yeah, yeah.
And they said, stay right there, we'll be right back. And they went, got in their truck, drove off, watched them drive off. It seemed like forever. I walked circles. As a matter of fact, you can see it in the snow where I walked circles waiting for them to come back. They came back and waded across the river. It wasn't very deep. They brought waders for me. It was probably, I don't know, thigh deep. Walked back across the river, took me up to their car, their truck, drove me to their house, got a map out and said, now, where was your camp? And I kept telling him it's on Kamichik Road in the forest, in the national forest. And they're looking on this map. They couldn't find it. Finally, the guy flips the map over and he's looking. I had walked 26 miles. 26 miles.
I've heard that story, and you were lucky it turned out well, but it could have been different.
Yeah, they actually dropped me off at camp, and it was just getting light.
Wow.
And of course, my grandpa was honking on the horn, and all the guys were coming out of the woods. Our whole hunting party. That last one to come out was my father. And the end of that story is the part I chuckle about a little bit is my dad came up to me and he said, now, Jeff, he said, if your mother ever hears about this, you will never hunt again, and neither will I.
Well,
I'm like, okay, Mom won't hear about this. Mom never heard about that story till, I don't know, gosh, I was probably 30 years old before she heard that story.
Yeah. That'll stick with you for as long as you.
Yes, it will.
Around. Jeff, what do you say we take a quick commercial break?
Okay, yeah.
Let's do that, and we'll regroup here and have some more fun. I would say around the campfire, folks, but we're actually in the shade right now. We don't need a campfire at this point, but we'll be right back, so stay with us. Well, folks, it is Luke Clayton, and I want to show you something right here that I am very, very proud of. My gearhead bow. I've taken a couple of hogs with it, and I'm deer hunting. I'm down at the Buck and Bass Ranch at a buddy of mine's, and I'm going to be deer hunting. Let me show you something here. Now, this is the coolest thing in the world, and the first time I have ever shot a bow with a shoot-through riser. I'm going to look right at you here. There's a riser here. There's a riser here. Look at the arrow on this gearhead bow, right in the middle. And if you think that doesn't make a difference, for many, many years, me and I guess every other bow hunter been shooting one side of the riser or the other. This thing shoots straight through. Folks, check them out online. This is the bow that I hunt with, and I've got a lot. I love it. Lots of confidence in it. GearheadArchery.com.
Well, folks, we're back. Thanks again for joining us here. And we were just talking about some of our life experiences and the early hunting days for us. And I mean, it's just the memories come flooding back. You sit here thinking about all the things we did. And, you know, I was just talking about getting lost in the woods. And the funny of that whole thing was that the year GPS, you know, devices, handheld came out, guess what my father bought me for Christmas? My dad got me a handheld GPS. I still have it today, and it works great.
That with a compass, there's no reason to get lost.
Oh, absolutely. So, hey, I got a question for you. So, you know, we talked a little bit about how we got started in, you know, kind of hunting and fishing and kind of how we got into the whole, you know, outdoor thing like that. How about the radio and the writing, and how did you get all going in that?
Well, you know, the writing first, I guess. It's hard, you know, it's hard to describe, but it's when I was a kid, I used to go down in South Texas. Papa Dinkins owned a ranch down there, and they would actually let me out of school, and I'd load up a Marlin 336C with in a gun case and get on a bus and go to South Texas to hunt with him.
Really?
Yes, and I always bought 2 or 3 Big Chief tablets. The old writing tablet. They probably don't make them anymore.
You had your number 2 pencil stuck right here?
Yeah, I had a bunch of pencils. So I would hunt. Papa was up in upper 80s at that time.
Yep.
But he was wiry and very active. So he would take me out, and I was probably about 14 at this point. Let me drive. He brought a brand new truck every year. And the deal was, if the pine tree would bend, you could run over it. He owned country in the woods. So anyway, I would get in at night, and I would take that Big Chief tablet, and I would write and write and write. I didn't know what was pushing me to do that, but I'd write the story, and I would give anything to have some of these amateurishly done little, what happened today with me and Papa. We trapped a raccoon, used this and this for lure, and on and on and on.
Oh, yeah.
Every day I'd go home. And then I just kept doing that. And I took a little journalism, and I will tell you this, they talk about, oh, you're a born writer. Yeah, I don't believe that. You might have, like me, I was honestly born with that desire to express myself on paper or now on a keyboard. That's just part of me. But, you know, you definitely learn as you go. Some of that stuff that 30 years ago, when I first started writing, it's you know, I can look back and I say, yeah, did I do that? Well, it's progression. You learn stuff. So I had a family. I was in my upper 20s, and money was always an issue, you know, with kids. And I told my wife, I said, you know, I love to write, and I wonder if I could actually get paid to write. She said, I don't know. I started a newspaper column, folks, for the Mesquite News.
Okay.
$50 a week, I think. I think that's what I got paid. And the way that grew, Jeff, then that was Hard Hank's group of newspapers. You've probably heard of Hard Hank's. It's a famous big outfit. So then they owned 13 papers around the Dallas area. And then they started consolidating that column into all their papers.
Okay.
And then luckily a big newspaper, the Dallas Morning News, I got hooked up writing a fishing update each week for 14 years, and then an outdoor cooking thing. And then I started putting 2 and 2 together that maybe I do have a propensity to do this. I began to build confidence in you know, what I could do. And I started branching out into magazines, and now the same column that I've been writing for 29 years is in 46 Texas newspapers. Not the same column, but the same. That column I started back then, it's still clicking. So that's how that started, Jeff. And
well, how did the writing now in today's articles that you write versus some of the earlier ones, are they, not that they're the same?
Yep.
But is the writing different? Is it anything changed?
There has been changes, and I think editors are either getting smarter. There might be some of my editors watching. No, what I'm getting at, back then it was crucial that the editors were on you. This is a column that you're writing, Luke. You can do whatever you want to within bounds, and they had their bounds.
I got you.
If
Okay.
I was using Texas-raised hunting products, which back then that didn't exist, but if I were, don't be mentioning that in these columns. That's the way it was back then. Today, I think the press is just more open. I have in the last 10 years, I don't think I've had one editor say, you can't do that. Maybe I've just got a little better at what I'm doing, but I just, in my column, like our shows, I try to tell it like it is, Jeff. If I'm using this, it works. It works. I feel like that's my duty to let somebody reading it. What good does it do if a writer just talks about the big buck he killed or whatever, the big fish he caught, if he can't pass along a little information?
Sure.
So that's the writing part. And I'll be writing, if I didn't get paid a penny to write, I would still, it's so ingrained in my DNA or whatever, I'd still be doing it.
So how did you transition then into radio? Because now, obviously, you've been doing radio for
12
some
years.
time. 12 years.
Yeah, I was a guest on a show out of Houston, an outdoor writer, much like what I do now. He was been writing about the outdoors a long time, good guy. So he was a friend too. We started talking. He says, "Why don't you do that outdoor radio?" And I'll be honest with you, I thought that's the last thing in the world I have any interest in doing. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
But I did start it, and it grew to now, Jeff, catfishradio.org. If you go there, we're on like 18 commercial stations, mostly in Texas. And then I do one for public radio for North Texas, 88.9 KETR. That's another show. And then I started a show called High Plains Outdoors for High Plains Public Radio that goes on all their affiliates from Kansas to Texas. So now I talk to other friends and they say, "What are you doing now, Luke? All this stuff?" They think all I do is work. But it's so easy now.
Yeah.
It's so easy. And I've got guys like Jeff takes care of the website. If you go to catfishradio.org, there's 4 segments of each show. You can click and listen. Well, David Fox is a radio personality and a very good audio guy. I record the shows at home, send them to David. David produces them, sends them to Jeff. Jeff puts them on the website, and then you can go to catfishradio.org and listen away. So, okay, I'm still for an old guy approaching 70, I don't have any health issues that I know of other than being approaching 70. So I feel really blessed, Jeff, to be able to do the things that we're doing together. And, I'm in it for the long haul, obviously. So it's fun.
Well, now with our ability to video and put together, our little video shows each week, just endless subjects and things we can share with you guys, and just outdoor adventures. And whether we're sitting in a blind trying to kill a hog or we're cooking up some groceries,
right?
We have fun with all of that, and we're going to continue to bring this stuff to you, Lord willing, as long as we can.
We
right?
are. Oh, yes. And one thing, Jeff, that I want to mention, and this is going to be a blast, and it's in the very early stages, but it's going to happen. The Winter Outdoor Rendezvous in Greenville, Texas. The folks in Greenville, I've got a lot of friends there, listeners and readers and everything else, but friends too. Randy Kuhn owns a place there called CarQuest in Greenville, Texas, on kind of the north side of town. and he's got like 4 or 5 acres of woods like this behind us, right there. We're in. It will be. The date is not ingrained in granite, but I'm thinking it will be December, probably December the 14th, right in that Saturday. We're going to get together. There's going to be booths. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have campfire setting, like if you can see behind us a little bit, in the woods. We're going to have and vendors and people, $50 a booth, you know, to show off their wares, fishing guides, hunting guides, whatever. But most, we're going to be able to cook. Not a cooking contest, but we're just going to...
Just some fun cooking.
Fun cooking, and if somebody's got some of this they want you to sample, or this chili, or that stew, you know, that's what I want to do. I've been wanting to do that a long time. The folks in Greenville are going to help me make it happen. So if you want more information, Randy Kuhn there in Greenville, CarQuest, is where it's going to be. Randy's going to be kind of the focal point down there. But
we'll put it on catfishradio.org.
Yeah,
I'll put something out there on the website, folks. So you'll be able to get more information.
It will be a blast.
Oh yeah.
And you know, people can, if you want to contact me or Jeff, but about this event, just go to catfishradio.org. About contact Luke, and my email address is right there. Fire me an email. I promise you, I'll get right back with you. But Randy Kuhn down there in Greenville, Texas, northeast Texas is where we're talking. East of Dallas, about an hour. That's the guy that to kind of work with to get your booth and all that. Throw that in there. That's coming up before too much longer, Jeff. It's going to be fun, buddy. Hi, folks. It's your old buddy Luke Clayton, and this ain't your grandpa's pump-up air gun. This is the Texan, made by Air Force Air Guns, and it's the most powerful production air gun in the world. A few years ago, I started shooting these when they first came out, I actually had a chance to test. They didn't really need any testing, but to shoot one of the 10 prototypes when it first came out. Now, this is the improved model. This tank pressures up to 3,625 PSI. This gun will develop, I believe it's 750 foot-pounds of energy shooting a 520 grain bullet. So this is your big daddy of air guns. If you want to get into hunting or shooting air guns, you know, you don't have to shoot a 520 grain bullet. I shoot a Nielsen specialty ammo bullet I think it's 340 grains. But here you go. Check these out online. You can go to airforceairguns.com and check them out. But this is the one I've hunted with a lot. I've probably killed 30 hogs and a bunch of exotics, and I'm going to get after the deer here in Texas this year with it. airforceairguns.com.
Well, we got the Texas rifle, whitetail rifle season coming up here, and so we're gearing up for that. We've been doing some archery hunts with that gearhead archery bow you've got. That thing is a pretty slick deal.
Love that bow.
I don't know if you folks saw the show we did a few weeks ago, but Luke shot a nice hog with that. That was pretty cool.
It was. I've never shot a hog that hog was dropped. He
sure
dropped.
did.
Usually you have to trail a little bit, but anyway, yeah. I love that gearhead archery bow. It's just a blatant plug, as they say, but you may not know about gearhead archery. The term kind of makes people think, they've carried this compound bow too far. No, not really. It's just a neat bow.
It is.
Well,
I saw how it works. I saw what it did, and I was amazed.
It works.
It's a
good bow. Well, man, this has been a fun show, and as we told all of our friends when we kicked it off, we're not hunting something or shooting something. We just wanted to visit with all of y'all on this show.
Absolutely. It's just a gorgeous day just to sit outside and take in the beauty. If you look at the trees, the leaves are starting to fall. Actually, you can see some falling leaves, and
yep.
And you know, before you know it, winter will be here, and we'll be doing the extravaganza, and I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Going to be fun, Jeff. Well, we've got that hog. We've got to cut it up and get it in the freezer. So
yes, we do. We've got a little bit of work to do.
I guess we better jump on that.
Well, let's wrap it up. So, folks, thank you again. We appreciate you joining us here every week. We love putting these shows together for you. We thank you so much for liking and sharing us, and you know, we look forward to bringing you another great adventure every week. So until next week, we'll have something fun for you. I can promise you, huh?
We'll have fun doing it anyway.
Yes, we will. All right, folks. Until next week, be safe in the outdoors.